Because every individual has two parents, and each of those parents has two parents, the numbers grow quickly. For grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, and so on. But if you follow this pattern for just 37 generations, it suggests 137 billion direct ancestors at that level. That's more than the total number of beings that have ever lived, which is clearly impossible. The reason the numbers don't add up is that many ancestors are the same. Families often interconnect. Parents who are cousins, grandparents who are siblings, and more distant relatives who share common ancestry all reduce the total count. Even distant cousins, which might seem unrelated, shrink the total number of unique ancestors. Over centuries, mating within small communities was common, creating lines that repeatedly converge rather than spreading outward in a perfect pyramid. And it's not just about counting names on a tree. Only a fraction of the genetic material from those ancestors is actually passed down. Imagine that each ancestor contributes a collection of traits. Each parent passes on only half of their collection to the next generation. As generations continue, some traits never make it into the lineage at all. This means that many distant ancestors, though part of the family line, contributed nothing genetically. By the time you reach 10 generations back, there is only a 50% chance that any given ancestor contributed genetic material. 15 generations back, the chance drops to just 3%. Most ancestors further back leave no trace in the genetic composition at all. Only a small fraction of the total pyramid of ancestors actually shapes the current lineage. This has intriguing implications. The visible family connections, the names, relationships, and recorded lineage tell one story. The inherited traits tell another, far narrower story. Over time, chance determines which lines contribute more to the genetic makeup and which fade completely. Some lines dominate, while others disappear entirely from the genetic record. It also explains why certain patterns appear repeatedly in ancestry. Traits, tendencies, and inherited characteristics often seem concentrated in certain branches, because only a small subset of ancestors actually contributed the genetic material that survived through the generations. The convergence of ancestry and inheritance creates a complex overlapping network rather than a simple branching tree. Despite the vast number of theoretical ancestors, the reality is a tightly interwoven lineage. Connections repeat, branches collapse into one another, and the genetic influence of most distant ancestors is lost. The vast pyramid of potential contributors is reduced to a small fraction that truly shapes the genetic structure. This process continues endlessly. Over hundreds of generations, the web becomes even more entangled. The farther back you go, the fewer unique contributors remain in the inherited composition. While the family tree may extend infinitely in theory, the actual material passed down follows a narrow selective path. And yet, this selective inheritance has profound consequences. It determines the traits present, the tendencies expressed, and the variability within the lineage. It also explains why certain characteristics persist while others vanish entirely. Despite being theoretically present in countless ancestors, the lineage is both expansive and selective, immense in breadth but narrow in actual influence. By considering both ancestry and inheritance together, it becomes clear that the story is not just about names on a list, but about the dynamic process that carries forward traits, tendencies, and characteristics. Only a fraction of what once existed continues to have any effect. This creates a paradox. The actual contributors shrank dramatically, leaving a small, intertwined web at the center of all lineage. Ultimately, the vast pyramid of possible contributors is deceptive. Each generation filters, selects, and redistributes traits, creating a surprisingly small core that defines the present. The complexity of this process reminds us that ancestry is not a simple calculation, it is a living, dynamic process shaped by both chance and convergence over countless generations.